So welcome today to Meet Our Founders, where we interview some entrepreneurs who will speak about their startup and also the challenge they are facing and advice they have to give to other founders. Today, I'm glad to be with Max Wittstamm, who is product owner at Flair, but also founder of CAASP. So first of all, we would like to know a little bit more about yourself. So could you introduce yourself, tell us your name again, where you're from and where you're located right now?
Yes, it's a pleasure. Thanks a lot. So my name is Max Wittstamm. I am from Germany and I'm production engineer. So I come from the mechanical engineering and then specialized in production engineering. And then started early to go into digitalization projects. And now finally in the AI projects. So all coming together. And I moved to Hong Kong 2 years ago to take the opportunity to participate here in a research initiative. And in this initiative, we came to the idea of CAASP and are now founding this company to spin it off as a startup. And that's the current status.
Okay, nice. And can you speak a little bit more about the creation of CAASP? And how did it start it?
Yeah, so actually it started already a few years ago. So I was still working in Germany at the automotive company. At that time, I was still focused on mechanical engineering, production engineering. And I was at a very interesting department because we were actually doing prototyping 2 years before the start of the production from the car. So it was the exact time when the product designer that designed all the parts in their CAD system, they see the first time the actual hardware parts in their hand. So that's what we provided to them to check on the manufacturability and on the assembly. So at that time, I was really surprised because I saw the designers, the product designer, and at the moment, the first time they saw it in their hand, the physical product, what they have been working on for so long, but they were not happy. They were more like stressed because they needed to figure out so many details. They were stressed about, can it be assembled? Can it be, does it work? Does it fit even? And so at that time, I recognized the workload for these designers that they have to do is very high. So even at this moment when they should be very excited about the first prototype, they are stressed. And later on then in the creation of CAASP, I understood that the workload for the designers is just so huge because of a lot of distracting tasks. So back from this idea, what is this moment, the idea grew, and then we started about the research algorithms, how can we solve this problem until the moment now where we work at this application.
Okay, thank you. So the next question will be a little bit repetitive, but can you again tell us what problem that CAASP is trying to solve and why this problem is important?
Yes, so the main problem that we are solving is the time in the product development process. So it takes around 3 years, or maybe for more complex products, even more, until the product can be produced. So at that time, we want to reduce, we want to cut. And we focus on the work from the product designer because that is one of the most critical resources. So we want to save the time, but also we want to save the engineering resources because when you look at the work from the designers, you can see that most of the time they are not focused on delivering value. They are maybe around 50% of the time they are stuck with documentation of their work or discussing their work with other departments. And we figured out that the assembly sequence planning, which is an important step in planning the production line for the product, is a crucial step in that. because that is still done manually and no solution exists so far. So we want to automate that step so that designers, they can save their time working on this, but also discussing about this with other departments, because normally there are so many different people involved in this. And then in the end, also reduce the time to market until that product needs to be produced in the assembly line.
What were the biggest challenge you had to face, and how did you overcome this challenge?
Yeah, so we had a lot of challenges, and especially because we really had to grind the algorithms. Yeah, we had to start from the very early beginning, looking at the CAD data. How can we model? How can we represent this data? And how can we optimize the sequence for this spatial data? So we really had to look into the algorithms, come up with our own approach, develop it further step by step. And after we had our first concept, the next big challenge was then the software development. So how can we interact with the CAD system? How can we understand the APIs? And how can we design an efficient software architecture that supports our algorithms? So there was a big challenge to figure this out. And yeah, I think then this until now our biggest challenges.
So you participated recently at Alibaba Pitched in Shenzhen. Can you share us your experience in this event?
Oh yeah, so for us now the exposure to such competitions is very important to get first feedback from investors, but also like to see what other startups are doing, so that we can build up our own network and connect with different people. So in that event, we had the chance to pitch our startup in the Greater Bay Area in the south of mainland China, which is a very interesting area for manufacturing. So it was a great event, and actually we also got some very interesting context after that. So yeah, it was a success and helped us to maybe specialize our focus also. Yeah.
Now I have some questions that can help some other founders. So what are the most valuable lessons you have learned while building CAASP?
Yeah, so I think the most valuable lesson is definitely that you have to constantly leave your comfort zone. So you always find you have to face new challenges, and you have to understand the problems, learn fast, learn new methods, and that always means to leave the comfort zone. So the lesson would be for me to do it step by step. So I think the art is really to find like a step that is like technically feasible, but also valuable, so that you can say, okay, hey, this is my next goal that I want to achieve, and then in that period you will learn a lot to adapt again, and then you can leave your comfort zone and build up the whole system step by step.
And is there something you could have done differently in Insight?
Yeah, so for us, we have the big challenge that we need to work with, or we need to access industrial data. So industrial companies, they have CAD data sets, but they don't share it with the outside. So it's actually very difficult to get this data. And at the beginning, maybe looking back, I would have put more effort in the beginning to build like relationships with industrial companies so that they would share the data. So at the beginning, we were using, for example, open source data that you can get like from different kind of platforms, but it's so completely different than the industrial data. So instead of starting with this open source data, talking more to the companies, getting their trust, getting their data, that would be something to start more early with, because of course, that takes a lot of effort and to do so. But yeah, and now I'm really happy because we have several industrial companies that collaborate with us and share their data, and also they get insight from our development.
So are there any upcoming milestone or initiatives that you're particularly excited about?
Yes, because at the moment we work with several industrial partners on the validation. And when we have achieved this, then we feel confident to really put our prototype out in the App Store to get feedback from the users. So that is what we are really excited about at the moment. And also on the way, I talked with a lot of people. A lot of people were excited about this prototype. So now we are really looking forward to put it in the App Store so that just everybody can use it, and we can get more feedback and then improve the solution. So we are just maybe 1 or 2 months left to release it, but then yeah, this will be a very big next step.
Okay, thanks. And this is the last question, and it's about more your impact in the long term and your vision. So how do you envision CAASP making a positive impact on your industry and the society in general?
Yeah, so our vision is to empower the engineers to create value. So we want to reduce the work and the time they spend for discussions, for meeting, for documentation, for the stuff that does not matter, and focus on the moments where they create value. And this, of course, should also have a big impact on our society because we face so many challenges in many different areas that all need innovation and that demand it very fast. So I hope that we can contribute to this, to bringing this innovation faster into the production and thereby also in the actual use, so that we can that the engineers focus really on delivering that value and solving the big world problems.